Hey, what's up with it? My name is Salvin Chahal, and I'm here with Mango Bay. Yee!
Mango Bay, Mango Bay.
Mango Bay.
Mango Bay, Mango Bay, Mango Bay, Mango Bay, your Mango Bay.
For the exclusive content, don't forget to join our Patreon at patreon.com/MangoBay. Mango
Bay.
Welcome to Mango Bay, one-stop shop for South Asian recklessness. We are two best boys Usama Siddiquee,
Pranav.
and we're bringing you all the stuff. Today we got a great guest on. It's my guy. Yeah, it's my guy. This guy's a poet. He's a comedian, filmmaker. You know what I'm saying? This guy's a lot of shit. Good friend of mine. We got Salvin Chahal on the pod, man.
Yeah,
How
man.
you doing, bro? What's going
I'm
on?
good, man. I'm blessed, man. How y'all doing?
Dude, all right. Have you met Salvin before?
I've met Salvin now many times.
Okay.
Yeah, many
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Yeah. Every time it's like we met before.
Yeah.
Bro,
First time was at your thing in LA, Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
That's when we
Then,
first met
then
too.
I ran into him at an art opening in Silver Lake.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what you told me to come
that's
to.
right. That's right.
Maybe,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Times, man.
Dude, you know, every time, bro, I want you to become a piece of shit. Every time I'm like, this is the day I'm going to find him slipping up. And,
Join the list, man.
You know? And every time, I'll be like, man, this guy probably sucks. First time, then you're like, yeah, man, I'm putting together care packages for Rohingya refugees. I'm like, can you just fuck my girlfriend, bro? Can you just be what I need you to be? But he's not, man. He's a good dude, funny guy.
Appreciate it.
Good energy,
Appreciate it.
effervescent, ebullient about life.
Yep.
You're one of my favorite people I've met in this last year, dude.
Likewise, man. Thank
Truly.
you. Both of y'all, yeah.
A lot of
For
love
real,
for you.
real. That's love, bro.
And your heart and your energy.
Yeah, man. Thank you, bro. Thank you, man.
You started in poetry, bro. So you started in Sacramento, bro.
Yeah.
You're a Sac Indian.
Yeah, born and raised in Sacramento, and I think just the biggest influences I had was just like hip hop. Like
Bro.
role models. It wasn't like anybody in my family. Everybody was super cool. You
Your
know what I
first
mean?
word was the N-word.
Yeah,
That's how
without
you
a doubt.
said
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
No, he's saying it.
Yeah, my parents taught it to me.
Look how hard you are there. Come on, we can do it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just poetry, man. I was I fell in love with hip hop. I felt like accustomed to like hearing a lot of like the socio-political things.
This is 90s, bro. How old are you?
I'm 30.
30, so you 94?
94.
94
yeah,
kid.
yeah.
And 94 in the Bay and Sac, that was like a whole hip-hop out, right?
Yeah, man.
West
it was
Coast
different,
beef.
man. Like just like the West Coast, like especially
Yeah.
NorCal, is just different, man. It's just
Right.
like the isms. You just can't escape it. Just like
Right.
the way we speak, like the language and things like that. And I like NorCal, like at that time, like man, folks were just on all types of like
Right.
drugs. It's like the
It's bad,
culture
bad.
was cool, clothing was dope. So much of hip hop culture, black
Definitely.
culture came out. You think about the Bay, there's so much greatness, right? You
Yeah.
got Silicon Valley, you had like the Warriors, just a lot. You know what I mean?
Black people, drugs,
Just killing it.
killing, dancing, and drugs. That's black people.
No, but like it was like no. There was a lot of nuance. You know what I mean? There was like the Black Panthers were like deep,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for real? In the West Coast?
Yeah, like if you think about there was a moment where the police wanted to create a law to where you couldn't be within 6 feet of an officer with a gun, and that was because like the Black Panthers, like especially in NorCal, like
Right.
Sacramento, like Oak Park, they were like tough. Like they
were
were
in there.
really with the shit. You
So
know what
did
I
you
mean?
grow up with the Black Panthers?
No. I grew up around like black culture.
Right,
you know
right,
what I'm
okay.
saying? My cousins and I, we were probably one of the only like South Asian folks
Right.
like in our neighborhood, and it
Hanging
was
out.
just normalized. It wasn't until people who were outside of like where we grew up was like, yo, why do y'all act and like talk like that?
Right.
And it wasn't like we went home and like things switched. Like, it was like you're away
Did
from
your
your
parents
family.
talk to you like that as well? Were your parents also just like, yo, what up? What's good,
We're like,
son?
what up? And like, hey, bitch.
Come on in here. You know?
Hey, bitch. What's good, fam?
Yeah,
Fix up some greens for you. Like, you need sog?
song, smoking song every
Maki ka
fucking.
roti
You know what I
and
mean?
sog?
Where the cheese at? What? I'm guessing Sardarji vibes on your dad, right?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No turban? No.
Nope. Great.
Are you Sikh?
Yeah, great grandparents. Yeah, I think for like my dad, he came to Daly City, San Francisco, from Fiji when he was like 16.
Caribbean.
Fijian.
Yeah. So
Okay.
my grandmother, she came from Punjab to Fiji at the age of 5, like on a boat. So we have like just a few generations there. And then my parents ended up in Cali. My mom had me at like 19. You know what I'm saying?
yo.
So super young.
Wait. So your parents didn't speak to you in Punjabi growing up?
They know Punjabi, and they were like speaking here and there, but it was mostly just like Fiji Hindi. That was like the common like language. You know what I mean?
Fiji and Hindi. Or
Yeah,
did you say
Fiji Hindi. It was just kind of like a dialect, like Hindi,
Right.
kind of like slang Hindi. You know
So
what I'm
it's like
saying?
a kind of Creole.
Yeah.
It's probably just like Hindi with a beat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Not too Trini or anything. You know what I mean?
It's just a soca track playing in Hindi on it.
It was the N word and then Salah. You know what I'm saying? And then Waheguru right after. You know?
Well, so in the SAG, we're talking. You grew up. Now, so that must mean like when you see like the Indian culture growing up, the brown desi culture is like you chose white or black, right?
Yeah.
And so so the suburban Indians that kind of have had the affectations must kind of piss you off because you're like, no, I took it because I was around it, but you taking it.
They're the ones who make it worse,
It's
bro.
a weird thing.
Wait,
Right?
who makes it worse?
The suburban dudes.
Okay.
Because
So
they
you
make
grew
it
up in the suburbs.
Right.
No. And then they make it for folks who did grow up around like a particular culture seem like, oh, this person right here is faking it. They have to be. You get what
Right.
I'm saying? Because it just doesn't make any sense. You don't have people that are in mass media from like from Queens,
Right.
Bronx, like the ends of like London and like mass media, you know?
Right.
So when I was like getting into like poetry and shit like that, I was around hella people.
So how do you feel then about like Hanuman kind then?
I think it's dope as hell, man.
It is.
I think it's clean.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like we
should have had like a thing where we just keep giving him pictures of different people, brown dudes who sound black.
Yes or no?
And like, are they good or bad? Pass, fail.
You want me to give the black pass to South Asian dudes?
What?
You're the closest thing we've got, Salvin. Okay, Usama's so racist, he used you as security in his last show. Okay?
So you guys couldn't get any South Indians for this podcast.
Yeah.
That's what you're
There's
telling
one
me.
black guy in the back named Dom who wasn't going to do shit, okay? That guy was like a little bit of a spineless guy.
Yeah, he had an Indian girl with him. You know what I mean? So it's all good. It's all good.
It's like, I'm in front of a bunch of black people, I'm like, well, this guy Salvin said I could do it. So, you mean this brown guy did? We haven't given him yet. So, there's a lot of brown rappers now, man. They all do the affectation, man.
Yeah.
And they're from Edison, New Jersey. You know,
Yeah.
when I was 13,
It's like you talking about selling lean, but you had a whole family to lean on growing up. It shit just don't make no sense.
Boom,
You know what I mean?
boom, boom.
Your mom's a pharmacist. That's how you get the promethazine. It's all good, you know?
Yeah, you get the promethazine from CVS for your mom. That's amazing. But I mean, you grew up spoken word. What is? I mean, spoken word is a whole different life. I feel like.
I mean, when I first came across it, I was just super wild, like Def Poetry Jam and shit like that. And it wasn't like, oh, fucking real.
Yeah.
It wasn't always realize type shit. You know what I mean?
My daddy.
Yeah, when I was
touched me
8, when I was 16,
in the butt.
there was
Bongos.
like a lot of comedic shit. It was fun shit. And for me, I was like, man, like,
Okay, but can I say this? The first person to say realize. You don't think he got like immediate pussy? Like immediate, people were like, "What the fuck is this?"
I mean, I
Not
think he
good
was.
pussy.
But the first person,
You know?
that's an amazing line.
It's like you got a lot of white girls with hairy armpits. We're just like, wow.
Well, now, back then everybody was cool, revolutionary. Now it's just like, you're adopting rescue dogs.
Palestinians, ew, but that dog with no dick on it anymore. Come here.
Yeah, man.
Spoken words. I mean, was that big back in the?
Yeah, like 10 years ago, it was like
In
big.
Sacramento, it was a big thing.
It was a big thing. So Russell Simmons, not a great guy. He had this thing. It's called Brave New Voices, right? So there's this international competition to where like all these like folks who were youth, they had to like go and like compete. So I was chosen to be a part of the team. Like,
Oh, nice.
And then so
Whoa.
I was like,
Wait, what?
yeah. So I was like 17 years old.
And I'm guessing not a lot of
He put
Indians.
this
No,
on
no.
his Harvard application.
I had to basically, no, never mind. So I made it to the team, but my parents were like, yo, you can't do this.
They said yo.
Yeah.
Yo, this is some pussy shit.
bruh,
Just
They said-
rap.
They're like, hey, ninja. No, they literally pulled me to the side. They're like, I'd rather have you smoke weed. No, I'm just kidding.
Big
They
game.
were like, yo, you can't do this.
Why?
Because I was talking about political stuff. And also, I think like Asian immigrant backgrounds, you're told to just put your head down and just be top of class. You was never told to like run the fucking district.
Of course.
Shit, you know what I mean? So
I heard this quick story. Like this white comic came to me and they were like, "Well, I did this I did this reel about like sexual assaults or whatever, and then my parents, who never care about anything, would talk to me like, "Hey, is this something you need to be talking about?" And I'm like, white comics gotta talk about rape to get their parents to be like, "Are we sure about this?" Meanwhile, I said my mom's actual name, and she's like, "You don't release the family secret." It's a very interesting thing. You tamp down culture, you know. So I'm not saying kind of energy for you, bro.
Yeah, so it was just that, you know. For me, I was like, man, like I felt so called to do this. And when I got on stage, I was like, man, this is something that not only do I enjoy, but people love it. I had the ability to change the way you can think or feel within 2 minutes, and I saw like responsibility in that. You know what I mean? Like my shit was popping off on like Twitter and Tumblr when I was like 18. So then I saw like, oh damn, this is important and shit. You know what I mean?
Brown, black, black, brown. Brown, black, black, brown. Walks away.
Oh my god, that's pretty good.
It's pretty bitch.
So it was popping back then, man. And like, dude, I was like,
wait, what were you talking about? What was your poems about? What were you doing?
I was talking about like realize, right? No, I was talking about like just for the South Asians who grew up in like Edison and shit. I was talking about how it really was growing up, where I grew up, right? Then I was talking about things pertaining to being like South Asian, but over time it all became super comedic. You know what I mean? And then it would end with something deeper because I was like, man, nobody really gives a fuck about this. I got to make it fun. You know what I mean? So I was like literally, like I published a book and I was performing at all the
What do you mean a book? What do you mean?
I published like a book of poems when I was like like young.
Two authors
There we go.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying?
He wrote a lot.
What was your book? What was it called?
It was called Verses from Above. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so that's just,
but verse is spelled VERZUZ, right?
the real verses. Swiss Beats co-signed it. You know what I mean?
Swiss Beats co-signed it.
But that's what it was. So I just like performed at all the universities that would have never accepted me because of my GPA and shit. And like I saw that shit like through, and then like jumped into like music. So that's what I was doing.
I was gonna say, did you ever rap then?
Yeah, I was rapping because I was like, nobody's gonna be in a car like, hey bitch, you heard this poem?
No one's fucking doing some slam poetry.
No one's like driving, like, let's put this fucking poem on, guys. So I was like, oh, let me go rap. But I was like, I don't want to fucking rap. Like I enjoyed performing. I don't want to be in the studio. I was just cracking jokes the whole time. You know what I mean?
You're already kind of a killer in stand-up, and a lot of people are like, how does he do that? And it's like, well, you're not. That's the first time you're performing. You're like, you're a good performer. You've done this for a long time. So what I started touring, 20s, late 20s, but you were doing that when you were like teenager, right? Or like 16, 17?
I was like 17, 18. I was in college. I going like everywhere, you know what I mean?
Damn, bro.
And so I like have like, I mean, y'all feel it. Like, you want to go up on stage. So that's how I felt. Because, like, man, this shit is, like, light. This shit is medicine. People are going to enjoy themselves. Bro. You get what I'm saying? And then, like comically, it's like my whole parents and grandparents, the foundation of our relationship is just hella play.
Right.
Like, there's not a single time where they're just like, they're not on, like, traditional Indian parents. They're not imposing, like, do this by this age. As long as I'm, like, taking care of myself, everything's cool, right? So, like, my whole family, they're, like, super supportive and shit.
Hell yeah.
And, like, everyone talks hella shit in my family. You know what I mean? So I'm quick, with
right.
it, all that type of shit.
The dozens.
Yeah.
Shit.
So, that's kind of what it was. And stand-up comedy was not something like of interest to me to like do. I loved it. I respected it so much. As someone who was already going on stage, like this, it's only us. You know what I mean? Like there's no beat, anything. It's a powerful thing. And then like, I was like inspired by like obviously like black culture, but then like over time I was like, nah man, like Punjabi culture, we come from like going up on stage, reciting poems, being like witty, funny and all that. So it is like an ancestral thing, you know what I mean?
I mean, y'all are the black people of India already. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like hooping, hollering,
hair,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People from Bihar.
Wow, because they're marginalized.
I'm just saying.
Marginalized. Bengalis are black too sometimes, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty
He said it, not me. You know what I mean?
Well, did you ever get any pushback, bro? Because I mean, again, a lot of people you grew up around in that world. Truly, you grew up in that culture. You grew up with the kind of the pedigree or like the ability to talk about it. Did you get any pushback when on tour? Like some black guy who was like, man, this guy doesn't know shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's like no tension in that way.
Nah, never.
That's
man.
good.
I think because like people like understood within the first couple minutes, like I'm not trying to be no particular way. If anything, like just being like who I am, like creates more hurdles and challenges. You know what I mean? Like, I
do you mean?
jumping into like the film TV space. Everyone's so fucking white adjacent.
Right.
Or like Desi, like who's this dude coming in? You know what I'm saying? Why is he? I was like going to film festivals and motherfuckers is like, yo, why do you talk like that? Why do you act like
They
that?
really get angry about that.
Yeah.
That concept.
Because
the tone of your voice.
all they are like they're used to being around folks who fake it. I was even like when I was around like South Asian people for the first time, I was like a freshman year, like senior in high school, freshman in college, and that was my first time being around hella like Punjabi folks, brown folks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I felt like, oh, that's the community I always wanted and shit.
Sure,
but I had to like indirectly assimilate to like a brown version of myself. It just happened. You know what I'm saying? But not like I just dropped anything that was considered black.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Time in
Because
your
there was
life.
moments I was like, yo, like, why do you talk like that? Why do you act like that? You're too hood for your own good. And like, there'll be like women who like didn't feel comfortable having me around their family. I even have cousins now, like in the last few years, anybody that they dated, the women would be like, if they were like South Asian or Punjabi, they'd be like, all right, you got a legit job now. You don't have to talk like that anymore. And it's like,
It's so funny. I heard a story recently. A guy was telling me about his really good friend that he grew up with who really talked with a black accent his whole life until he had a kid. And then he just completely gave up the black accent. And he was like, well, now I have a daughter, so I guess I need to talk like this now.
yeah.
We don't want her getting into the wrong crowd, of course.
This is like an Indian guy, too, right?
And plus, like, I think folks are like, black folks, like, they see like Aquafina and shit. They're like,
dude.
it's just same type of vibe.
Dude, the moment she got famous, she dropped all the
All that.
blackness.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, if you on YouTube, you'll see like, "Yeah, I eat your pussy for dinner, bitch."
Yeah,
Like, that's
yeah.
what you got
That's a
famous
black
on.
thing?
You started it, buddy. All right, but now she's like awkward Chinese girl.
Yeah,
she
yeah.
found a way to pivot immediately.
Well, maybe race is really more about a tax bracket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of the...
She just became an immigrant auntie, like Asian auntie. She just...
Dude, her first paycheck, the black accent just left.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
This is nice.
Yeah,
How the hell are you?
But you see someone like Ryan Coogler, like you could, like just the way he talks, right? But it's like the work is like
Right.
undeniable. So for me, I'm like, you ain't gotta like me, you ain't gotta respect me, I don't give a fuck. But the work is gonna be like undeniable.
That's always how it is.
what I've always like tried to lean on. You know what I mean? Especially like being in like film, TV spaces, everyone's trying to create work. It's like, all right, I was different because I had fucking hair on my arms and my facial features. And I'm like, bitch, like who are you outside of that? You think non-South Asians are looking at that? Like I have an actual understanding of how South Asian people feel about each other. You know what I mean?
Indian females always the story she does. I'm just a hairy bitch.
Yeah. It's like my mom doesn't look at that and is like, I feel represented. She don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? They all look at that shit like, yo, this is corny as fuck.
No
man.
Mexican mom was like, "Have you seen Ugly Betty this week?"
Yeah.
You know, they weren't trying to engage in that. This
Yeah,
shit was
yeah.
all out of the world.
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah, man. It's funny, man.
It's part of like maybe why Zarna is so popular. Is like she's not being like a little bit like, oh, woe is me. She's like, I'm an auntie and I'm proud, and all
Yeah.
these aunties are coming out. Like people like seeing the pride of themselves
Yeah.
as opposed to the, oh no,
Yeah.
white people, what you thought was true.
Yeah.
What you thought, I'm a hairy loser. That's what you thought.
And I think outside of that, a lot of her work is about like having a child in America, right? And then that's a lot of like immigrant parents
Right.
can like relate to that. You know what I mean? And that's like a big thing. So
100%, bro.
Yeah.
Why stop the spoken word touring? You weren't getting money off that, or was like?
no, I mean, there's a lot of money in it, but I didn't.
Is there?
feel- Yeah.
Wait,
Like-
really?
like- yeah, man.
What?
Like I've been paid like.
No, I'm sure you have, but I
Yeah.
just meant because you said that there was kind of a, I don't know if it's what it used to be, right? Like when you
Yeah.
started with it.
I just don't think like there's an ecosystem for it.
Yeah.
Right. There's like open mics. No one's really doing a lot of shows. I was producing my own shows because I had to put myself on. Right. I was like very theatrical.
What are these
shit.
shows like? You got some openers. We're doing
Yeah,
some
so
spoken
it
word?
would be like a group show. Because for me, I'm like, man, this shit changed my life at a young age. Like, I was like, bro, like, growing up, like, I didn't think I was going to make it to like mid-20s without being dead,
right.
deadbeat, or like whatever. That was just the fucking shit. Like, the high school across the street
bro.
from me, the principal got stabbed the first day. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
So,
Whoa. There's whoopee cushions in our school. And this guy's getting stabbed.
you know what I mean? So I'm like, I just don't think people...
Wait, what?
You had to stab the principal to get into the football team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to see
That
what your
was-
grid
that
was
was
like.
a school mandate, actually.
Yeah.
What the? Wait, what happened? So did he fight somebody?
I mean,
or he was just walking down.
Why
the
did you
halls.
stab the principal, Salvin? That's what
at
Usama's
that time,
asking.
like, bro, like Bloods, Crips, and like cultural like fights was just a thing. Like, dude, my freshman year, like high school, like motherfuckers.
So the principal was a Crip. That's what you're
He came in a
saying.
blue suit. The idiot.
in a blue suit.
Why did he
Like a
wear a blue
fucking
suit?
idiot. He just had regular shit on, but then a blue rag on his.
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking with you. No, but it's just like, you know, it's
Got a bandana.
I don't know, it's just shit. You know what I mean? It was just. Yeah, it's just what it was, bro.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean?
That's insane, bro.
Yeah, it's just a whole different life. So
Jesus.
your idea of like you're not gonna make it. So I think I had like mentors and like I saw art as like an avenue to like expand
Huge.
life, which it did. So when I started doing shows, like man, let me put folks on that are super dope, right? Like since I couldn't do that show, I was talking about that Brave New Voices situation. I was man, I got to put myself on. So my parents weren't down until this like came to a show and saw like, oh, this is like.
Oh, they came.
They came to a show at one point, you know what I mean? Like, yo, this is really good. People enjoyed it. It's not just some shit you enjoy and you're kind of like, when I was 16, you know, it was like powerful, you know
Your
what I
dad's
mean?
like, when you was heard.
So your parents were proud of you then. They
Yeah.
saw it and they liked it.
And they're just like, man, like my parents, extended family, they're like, if anybody's going to see whatever the fuck this is through, it's just going to be like, you're just going to do it, you know? So I have like a lot of support like from my family. So I think even like being Punjabi, being like Indo-Fijian and then like being in the hood, I feel like my success or whatever I do like would mean a lot because it's an anomaly like in itself. You get what I'm saying?
Have you ever performed in Fiji or in Punjab?
No. I ain't never been to Punjab. I'm
That'd be
kind of
badass,
like,
bro.
yeah.
Why not?
I don't really know if I could go.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Because
Why
like,
couldn't you go?
I mean, I feel like I can go. I just feel like some of the people that are like my friends, they're like on lists. You know what I mean?
Bro.
They're on lists.
okay.
It's like, bro, it's like when the Punjabi friends are more dangerous than your black friends, you know there's issues, bro.
There's more like Hindu fascists that will kill us than white people. And like, you know what I mean? Like, for real, you know, at this point, you know.
Is that a real thing? Like, you got Punjabi friends in SAC that are anti-Indian, or they're trying to the Khalistani movement.
They're not like so much so like anti-Indian. If you think about it, it's just like, man, like you've given so much to a particular country, and like historically, you've seen like you don't control like the price of your crops. You have farmers who are like committing suicide, so their families are taken care of. Like the water is so bad. It's
Right.
like conditions that are like you're just not in control of. So
Right,
in general,
right.
people just have always talked about like having a sovereign state. And in my opinion, I'm like, just in general, right? What I've learned through just like community organizing work, you can't have your own life unless like the ecosystem is very self-reliant. So if you're relying on whoever you consider an oppressor on like water or gas, food or whatever, you're not really going to be free.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I think people have always wanted just like that, you
Yeah.
know? But I do think like right-wing conservatism, like values have kind of like been co-opted in like, you know, that separatist movement to an extent, which makes all of us look bad. You know what I mean? Like you see like folks like in all, y'all's faith too, right?
Yeah.
Folks who are just super fucked up and it makes all of us look bad. So I think that's what ends up being at the forefront. And I think the issues of like why people
Are
kind
getting
of
lost,
wanted a sovereign state is kind of lost, you know? I mean, granted, we did like assassinate the prime minister. at
Y'all
one
did some
point.
shit.
Yeah, but it's like, you know,
Yeah.
someone attacks the holiest site. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck, people are going to do what they're gonna do. You
Shit,
know?
man.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know any of the farmers? Like, do you have any family members that are like farming in Punjab? That seems like a faraway land to me. Like, I don't know any Punjabi farmers.
My grandparents like do. You get what I'm
Damn.
saying? My parents, you know, my
Yeah.
parents haven't been to like India. You know, they were like they came to Fiji and then born in Fiji, super Punjabi in Fiji, and then just came to America. And even then, they weren't like on like any Khalistani shit or like whatever.
Gotcha,
They're like, actually, bro, you got to cut that
Bro,
shit. You know what I
So
mean?
your parents are not into this.
They're not into it. They're not into
So
it.
this, how
Also
did you
because
get? How
they-
did you get into it?
Well, it was just more so just like the element of like, man, like I think being around folks where I was around people who like showed me some of the values of it, just like the sovereign and kind of like we come from like lineages of like women who were on horses, like cutting off like the heads of oppressors, right? You think about like Guru Gobind, which was our last like human guru, right? He was someone who was like he became locked up at one point, right? And he was someone who was like had the opportunity to like, you know, be set free. And he was like, I'm only gonna go if I can bring all the political prisoners with me. I think it was like 52 political prisoners, right? And they said, whoever can hold on to like your cloth or whatever you're wearing, you can take them with you. So in secret, he had one of his boys weave just like a long cloth, gave it
Skirt.
to him. Yeah.
Skirt.
You know what I'm saying?
Gay.
A long, you know what I'm saying? Like a nice long shawl, you know what I mean? And they gave it to him in private, so all 52 prisoners were able to be released, right?
Cute.
And then also there was like moments where in war, Guru Gobind and a lot of the folks, they would wrap their bows and arrows like in gold because they knew the actual victims of war were like the families of the people you were killing. Even during the farmers' protest, motherfuckers who were like, shooting water at us and like attacking us, like when there was moments of like a break where like motherfuckers was tired, Punjabi folks were still feeding like the officers, you know what I mean? Because it's bigger than like whatever's happening right here. So those type of values is what we consider like very like of our background and like Bunthik, you know what I'm saying, so to say, you know what I mean? And that was like, when I learned like our background was about like liberating people from all forms of oppression, that's what I really like gravitated towards, you know what I mean? I think all the other shit kind of got lost in between. All this shit is lost, like you supposed to cover your head and not wear shoes inside the Gurdwara. Some motherfuckers is pressing me about wearing socks and shit.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Like you go to the Golden Temple now and like there's like dudes just very patriarchal, misogynistic shit. So it's like it's all lost now.
Bro, I was in the mosque in Saudi Arabia, just praying in the mosque.
Yeah.
As I'm praying, mid-prayer, guy taps me. You're wearing earrings, huh? You're going to hell.
Yeah.
But I'm literally trying to commune with God. Hey, earrings mean it's not gonna get accepted. Yeah. And he walks away.
He's saying you're gay, but at the same time he's holding your hand while telling you.
Bro, what do you want? You want to go behind? Bro, I mean, it's very fascinating, bro. I mean, the concept.
Yeah.
Just the intensity of kind of these movements. And obviously, like, emotion can get like,
Emotion can get, and it's like
Blast it
you
up.
have like, you have people visiting your Gurdwaras, like giving you like threats at this point. Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's not like, to my knowledge, we're going to people's religious institutions and
you know I've realized too on some Punjabi anti-Punjabi shit.
yeah.
Every Bollywood film now, almost they got some flashback scene where like a bunch of Sikhs are getting murdered.
Yeah.
What is that about? Every Bollywood has like a guy like go Tippu, and then he gets like and then he has that backslide shot.
Yeah.
Damn, y'all are getting like Bhag Milka Bhag and shit like that. Like y'all are getting owned in these Bollywood flashbacks,
What
bro.
movie are you talking about?
There's a movie called Bhag Milka
Kuch
Bhag.
hota hai.
3 Idiots. Bro, it's like Bhag Milka Bhag. They have like this Punjabi runner who was like amazing and he competed in the Commonwealth Games or whatever.
Yeah.
Bro, like every 30 seconds they're showing like a flashback scene of like Indian guys getting sliced in half. Which is like some intense shit. Like, there's always like that idea of like that past oppression or whatever, the past fighting. Bollywood is not trying to let y'all forget it.
And I
almost.
think on a like spiritual like sense, like we've never had a sense of home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was always under attack. It was always compromised. It was put into these other categories. So historically, ain't never had that. So people are coming to like Canada or whatever and feeling like a sense of home, or we can create the reality here that we didn't like have. You go to Brampton now, Surrey.
So are you guys starting Khalistan in Brampton or not?
Yeah. That's when I got the email earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Newsletter. Hey, Khalistanis.
Hey,
What's up? Great bake sale.
Khalistanis.
Great bake sale.
Yeah. So
damn, bro, I kind of want to meet your cousins, bro. I want to meet these because I'm like I'm guessing
these
all my
are your
cousins.
cousins, or
None of my cousins like have like turbans, like beards or anything. All of us like it's the same shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think even like for myself, I wanted to grow out my hair when I was young, but my parents didn't know how to navigate that. Plus, it's like post 9/11. You the only one, bro. You know what I'm saying? So
you the only one,
you know
bro.
what I'm saying? It's like, bro.
So are your parents devout Sikhs or no?
What would you consider devout?
Well, I mean, do they go to the Gurdwara?
Yeah. I mean, devout would also be like someone who like took Amrit, like you're baptized, which means like you're carrying the kirpan, you don't cut your hair, things like that, right? But they took us to the Gurdwara all the time, you know what I mean? They go like pretty often, and it wasn't something that was like really like pushed on us, we just kind of like.
What's the bro? How does a typical day at the Gurdwara be? Like you go in, there's like sermons or what? People just praying quietly.
Yeah,
there's songs.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs. Yeah,
There's
kirtan.
a
There's a lot of kirtan.
Yeah, when you
there's
go in
langar as well.
When you go in, when you go in, the Larry Mandy's playing in the background.
You go. What's the vibe though? I've never been inside one. How does
take you to one? You been?
I've been to Gurdwara,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
bro.
mom goes to Gurdwara almost every week, actually.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. It's a beautiful thing. I've taken a lot of like my non like South Asian friends, and they just like loved it.
Bro, I would
You
love
know
to
what I
go.
mean? They would love it. So you go in, the Guru Granth Sahib Ji is like at the end of like the hall, like in the building, right?
Okay.
Guru Granth Sahib Ji is like our book.
That's their book.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
because Guru Gobind was like, man, like we're always gonna be people who are persecuted, and kind of understood like, yo, we need a leaderless movement, because once somebody dies, and like people lose faith.
Boom.
You get what I'm
Boom.
saying?
But the Sikhs were not always a persecuted people, though. The Sikhs were actually quite hegemonic, right?
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Sikhs
yeah.
themselves were politically dominated all the way to Afghanistan, actually.
Mm-hmm,
Probably the only non-Afghan people who ruled in Afghanistan, right? Of course, also Kashmir and huge swaths of northwestern
Mm-hmm,
India. So I'm curious about that. Like, so in terms of the... Because there was a lot of martyrs, right? The
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
formation of the Khalsa happened at the
Yeah.
hands, of course, of the Mughals,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they're being tortured and flayed alive and so on. So I'm curious about that sense of we're always going to be oppressed.
Always going to be
right?
at war. Always going to be at war. You know, there was always this thing of like you're having to like fight for your like beliefs or lands.
Right,
We didn't
right.
believe in like forced like conversion and things like that. And I think in this late 1600s, early 1700s, there was a sense of like, how do we become like a unified people?
Sure.
And that's kind of what happened in 1699, like when the Khalsa was like created. You know what I mean? And like the element of being baptized, you know, and that's when like the Guru Granth Sahib Ji became our guru. Right?
How
Like,
does the
book of-
baptism relate to Khalsa? What is that
so that-
concept? You're like,
it was a sense of like once you become baptized, you become like a pure like
Oh, right,
Sikh,
right.
you know,
Gotcha,
because
gotcha.
like
What
the
is
word
the phrase for that?
Sikh?
No, the pure Sikh.
Oh, like it's when you take Amrit.
Okay,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
what is that? How do you do that? What is that?
Like what happens? I mean, it's this couple
what-
things. It's
yeah.
like it's.
Have you done this?
No. I mean, if I did, I wouldn't.
You have
I
the
would have
beard.
a turban.
Right, the whole deal.
And part of that is like you have like the bracelet. You have like white underwear. You don't like drink from other people's cup. You know, like, it's just like real
Some
like
real
Of course,
shit.
you don't
purity.
cut your hair at all, too.
No,
right?
no. Like
Yeah.
real purity, you know what
Damn.
I'm saying? And like that's
Damn.
something I thought like I wanted to do, you know what I'm saying, at some point, but I'm like I like the way that I look right
Yeah,
now. You know?
bro, don't change, bro. Don't change. You made
You know
it.
what I mean?
Wait, so what do they do? What do they do? They splash you with some water, and now you're in, or like what's the process?
I don't know.
Taking Amrit is Amrit itself is a nectar, suppose like the nectar of
The nectar.
immortality
Yep.
in traditional Vedantic, literature and so on.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so is there a special drink? Do you have like a mango lassi
It-
or something, or
A limca,
something
limca of
like
God,
that? Yeah, like mango fruity or something.
mango fruity.
Oh, man. It's just bong, dude. It's just
Yeah,
weird.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like, no.
I see him. Oh my God, God.
No, so it is like I don't know like the whole process, but it does involve that. It does involve like with like the kirpan, like dipping it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like the holy water and all of that. Then it becomes like a commitment. A lot of folks will go to like India from like the Bay. Dudes that say the N-word, smoke hella weed, go to Punjab. Oh, I'm fucking ready, bro. I'm ready. Come
dude's
back.
dad.
Come back. They look the part, but they're fucking. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, a lot of Sikhs that I grew up with were, and these are guys who were turbaned up,
Yeah.
who took Amrit and all that,
Yeah.
but they really assimilated just into normal life. Like they would party, they would drink, they would smoke weed, they would hang out,
Yeah.
they'd marry white girls
Yeah,
and stuff
right,
like
right.
that.
Yeah.
So
All the fun
I also,
things, yeah.
I also grew up with a lot of Sikhs who maintained their actual Sikh like theological disposition or whatever, but they would they shaved their beard, they would
Yeah.
go just to kind of assimilate into America, right?
Right,
Because
right,
the turban
right.
is like it's a very intense marker to have a never shave your beard. I remember in India when I was a kid, my uncle's best friend was a Sikh guy. He was our neighbor, right? I'm our uncle. And we would go over, and the first time I ever realized that the men didn't shave their beards, I remember seeing him on his balcony after a shower, and his beard was like 7 feet long, and he was like combing it off the balcony. And I was but you know what? Like Punjabi women, my aunt is Sikh, actually.
Fire.
And well, I remember I went to their wedding when I was 3 years old, and I was just like in love with her. She was like the most beautiful woman to me. Her hair was just so long, and I remember just seeing it. And I used to think that she had to like clip it on in the morning, like it was a weave or something.
Yeah.
It's obviously not. But I was just like, how the fuck does she have hair like that? Like, and I was just like enamored of this woman, you know. So I always wonder. I always think that the Sikh aesthetic is itself pretty fire, though.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
dude.
Like the grooming of the beards and even the pug and all that stuff is like pretty sick.
I love it.
And it was like
No pun intended.
You
Pretty
are-
sick, but yeah.
it is like no pun. What's it called? It's like because how you came is a gift of God. You know what I'm saying? How you arrived on this earth. So it was like, y'all just be like as it is. That's part of like the premise. You get what I'm saying? So yeah.
Sikhs believe in. I'm not even sure about the
One
specifics.
God.
I'm just learning. One God that's amorphous or like in everything, or is it just like a figure?
It's in everything. Yeah.
It's in everything, right?
It's
It's more-
omnipresent. Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
it kinda is, right?
It's like it was like this might have been from like a Sufi poem, but it was like, yo, God is everywhere. It's not the blade, it's the sharpness of the blade. Right, it's not the garden; it's the scent of the garden.
Right,
So
right.
that's part of it. It's
Right.
just like
It's
the
not-
essence of something.
not the
You know
thing,
what I
it's
mean?
the thing.
Yeah.
What up, Sufis? What up?
Yeah.
Shout out to my boys. Dude, it's interesting. Sikh poetry. That's got to be some most beautiful thing. Because again, Sikh people in general, man, chillest, good energy. In Texas, there was a lot. Some of them became community college rappers. Not the good kind. You know,
yeah.
they had the BMW I series or whatever. that kind of energy.
dads who are truckers gave them all that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I know there's like that side of it too, of like, people kind of like just going full American or, losing the values of the Punjabi people or whatever.
Yeah.
But just the same thing with Bengalis or Indians. It's like the same thing of like some people stay in the culture and some people kind of like, no, I'm American now, I'm a white guy.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I'm guessing in SAC, it's a little more working class or something. So people are staying more locked into the Sikh.
SAC is like, it's huge, it's big.
Right,
you know what
right.
I'm saying? Just like NorCal in general. You go to California, like you're driving up and down the highways, you're seeing nothing but trucks and
Yeah.
like they have like Sikh, Punjabi,
Oh,
like,
for real?
like decal on the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going from Vancouver back up, right?
Everything, right?
Boom.
And it's like most of the and it feels like, so when Punjabi folks first came to like Sacramento, they said this is the second land of 5 rivers because that's like literally hella like, you know what I'm saying? Literally, you know what I mean?
This is India.
This is India.
Wow.
I mean, you go there, bro. It's nothing but farmland. You know what I'm saying? And they like Punjabi folks will come here. They're like, yo, it feels like you have the sun coming
Bro,
up or setting.
bro.
It's all like if you like we've been in LA, right? But if you're driving up, it literally it's fucking farmland.
Yeah.
You're driving.
Yeah,
through,
bro.
You know what I mean?
So you did grow up with a lot of Sikhs in Sacramento then?
Like in my hood, there was a couple folks, but they were like a bit older. And then you have a lot of cousins. Like on my mom's side, I'm second oldest out of 40 great grandchildren. So both sides like pretty big, and they're like all like pretty spread out.
But they live in different areas of
Yeah,
SAC. They
different
weren't like
area.
in your hood exactly. You weren't just like able
I
to
mean,
go.
there was a couple of us, you know.
Okay,
and
so this wasn't though like you and your own little mini Khalsa in Sacramento then necessarily.
No, I wasn't like now seeing the amount of South Asian or Punjabi folks in Cali, specifically NorCal, and where my parents live now. It's fucking wild.
Yeah,
That
it's
shit was
different.
just not the case. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like folks know about like Punjabi culture. You know what I'm saying?
But
Punjabi culture has been for a long time in the States was the dominant idea of Indian culture in America
Yeah.
for a while. And I think there was a lot more Punjabis who had come over initially. So Bhangra, people when they think of Indians, they think of Bhangra, they think of Punjabi food stuff, chole bhatura and stuff like that, which I always found kind of interesting. I'm curious though about one thing, which is, your friends are kind of part of this sort of Khalistan movement and stuff, right? How do they reconcile the fact that most of the movement is really not in India at this point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's really in places like Canada or maybe in Sacramento or in Northern California, stuff like that.
I mean, if I'm being honest, there is like a hyper focus, emphasis, and energy on being so like Banthik.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like Punjabi and like the strong political values because I mean our land and our people are just diminishing. You know what I'm saying? And I think
How are they diminishing?
it's like people are like leaving and then they come here, all the values are lost. You get what I'm saying? You have people who are just like super fucked. They look the part of like a Sikh, but they have super right-wing, conservative, patriarchal, misogynistic like values. You know, all these things that just don't align with like who we want to see ourselves like as. So I think to your like question, there is a sense of like there's nobody else. There's a lot of us around, which creates like this sense of pride. But like growing up, when you are the only one who like looks at you, there is a sense of like, you see like Black greatness, you're able to point to like figures that represent Black greatness. You get what I'm saying? Like socio-politically, like activism, right? You think about like same thing with like Chicanos, right? Like Latinx people, right? And so I think a lot of folks who grew up being like the only ones, you're like you develop like the strong sense of like pride. That even a lot of people, parents might not even be like that. There's this sense of like you're being othered in America and you're co-opting these values, you know what I'm saying, these ideologies, because that's your only way. In my opinion, I'm seeing like, you know, subconsciously that's the only way to like have a sense of like strong identity, and especially with like feeling like India, Bollywood, all that or whatever, there is a sense of like, so a lot of Punjabi folks feel like, bro, like, I feel I'm good. Why would I have to like associate with anything like Khalistani or super whatever?
Right,
and
like,
then there's some folks out
right.
here who just like, I'll say this, man, like California is like the bend, bro. It's like, you know what I'm saying, like straight farm. So it's like very heavy on that tip, you know, that's all you know. I think reconciling with the fact that like I personally don't think a sovereign state will ever happen, in my opinion, no matter.
I mean, it's definitely not going to happen, right? Because the
It's not
movement
gonna
within
happen.
India is completely diminished. It's completely fizzled out.
I think people are holding on to like the values.
It's a value
whatever
thing.
it is. I
Yeah.
think part of it is just like the pride is just the thing of like I don't want to be known as like Indian or associated with Indian, right? Like we were forced to be, or that's a thought, right? We were forced to be claimed like Indian, but like you take Punjabi folks wherever they go, they're just hyper Punjabi. You know what I'm saying? And I think that has like translated into like as people feel like their culture is like diminishing. As you also see Punjabi culture at the forefront, musically, this side, whatever. Sometimes Punjabi folks feel like, man, like there's just caricatures at the forefront. Sometimes people who are like the fucking bale, bale,
So you don't respect them, the ballet ballet types,
no,
right?
you know,
The
so
bale, bale, I like those guys.
I think it's very fascinating though, because like it sounds like your parents were not necessarily very nationalistic, right? Or in general, like and I'm talking generation,
they love
not
being
just
Punjabi,
yours.
but if you talk about like some of the political shit, it's like
They
nah.
don't care. What I find interesting though
It's the following generation.
is that the following generation grows up in a place where identity politics is actually everything, and they're not necessarily seeing where it is that they fit in, and so maybe they find this thing which exists now predominantly here, and now this is a new kind of way of being Punjabi, right? Which is interesting because it does not necessarily the thing that's predominant in Punjab itself, right? Definitely not in India, but definitely not in Pakistan, right? So like,
I think part of it is always like you're being grouped up with all the other South Asian people.
Yeah.
So there is a sense of like children of immigrants are like, yo, man, we're not this, we're not that. And even if we were, it's all good. But let me tell you what I am. There's people who've learned so much about Punjabi, like Sikh culture, like through me. But every year they're still like, hit me up, hey, Ramadan Mubarak. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, there's still a lot.
What's that? We're going to keep this going on the Patreon for a little bit. Come on down.
your mango big.